items has never been higher. Chris Wade, Sky News.
Well, let's get more now on Iran's threat to stop oil exports to countries calling for sanctions against the country because of its nuclear program. Earlier we spoke to Arash Aramesh, who's the Middle East analyst at Stanford Law School, and asked him how credible the threats were.
Aside from its rhetoric, it's not clear if Iran really has options to try to target anybody. Iran's oil goes to the oil market. It's a big pool of various nations' oil that eventually gets flooded into the international oil market. Now, rhetorically, Iran would like to try to punish those countries that it finds problematic or it finds that they're bullying Iran. So it would definitely be the US, but we don't really buy much oil from Iran. It would be the EU. And but it's not going to be countries that have supported Iran, who are also Iran's biggest oil purchasers. I wouldn't think that Iran is going to put any pressure on China or Russia, especially China that buys a lot of oil from Iran, or India, or as a matter of fact, Turkey, Iran's largest European oil purchaser. So it's going to be interesting to see if Iran can really make this threat happen. Immediate problem is not a lack of oil supply. It's going to be a psychological problem. In addition to that psychological problem, the world is going to react to pretty much running out of the world's last emergency supplies. That Saudi oil is there to, to remedy situations like what's happening with Iran. And if there is a third or fourth crisis, another Libya, another Syria, another Iraq, another crisis in the Mideast or North Africa, then whose oil are we going to rely on? Is Iran going to punish the Saudis? Again, it's not clear whether Iran has that many conventional options. I still believe that in their sane minds, the Iranian leadership is trying to avoid any conventional confrontation with the West in the Strait of Hormuz. They don't stand a chance. Yet they can cause some unconventional problems in countries such as Bahrain and Saudi Arabia by pumping up the Shiites and creating problems, or by giving weapons and training to insurgents in places like Iraq and Afghanistan, stirring up some violence, even though we don't have any more troops in Iraq, but we have plenty of interest. So Iran can certainly stir up trouble, but I would think that if nothing extraordinary happens, Iran would like to try to stay away from a conventional head-to-head confrontation with the West, especially the U.S., because looking at their military capabilities and the West, it's not even comparable. I think the very fact they allowed the inspectors in is because the pressure has worked. The backbreaking sanctions, unfortunately, have had a bad negative impact on the Iranian people. But at the same time, they've served two good purposes. First and foremost, they have pushed the Iranian hand. They have forced them to bow and to be able to negotiate and to come back to the negotiation table. And B, they have prevented an all-out war from happening. If the Iranians do respond, the Iranian regime, by that I mean, does respond to Western and international pressure, then they come back to the negotiation table in good faith, then we might actually see, hopefully, a prevention of potential military strikes against Iran.
Arash Aramesh there speaking to us earlier. Next, 3 people have been injured in scuffles in Cairo.